we've got Tom Rees, a good buddy of mine. Got to spend some time with him back about a month ago. He is the women's associate head coach at the University of Clemson. Amazing facility. More importantly, though, amazing hospitality from a group of people there at Clemson. Cannot say enough good things about not only the facilities, but just literally the people there at Clemson. And I think you're going to find that when we bring Tom on and start talking a little bit. But yeah, we've got I think a very interesting opportunity to spend some time with a guy who's been around the game of tennis in a variety of different aspects, a number of different college coaching gigs, um, and a wealth of knowledge too, and just an all around great guy. So I think David Bolick is there in the background. He's getting all of us kind of connected. Um, and I see Tom is in the queue. And I say queue because Tom is, oh, there he is. Tom is a an Englishman. Um, and so if I speak the language, then he's happier, right? Let's see. Tom, can you hear me?
What's up, Bill? How are you? Yep, I
I'm
got you.
great,
Can you hear
man.
me?
I'm great. You're in a hotel room somewhere.
Yes, I'm in College Park, Maryland, recruiting in an ITF this week.
Oh,
So I
fantastic.
made my bed as well as I could because that was the best background I could do.
Your mom would be proud of you because at least it's pulled up, right?
Yeah, I did the bare minimum, but it's passable, right? There we go.
There you go, man. Well, Tom Rees, for those who don't know, Tom is a college coach, buddy of mine. And Tom, we're going to be talking a little bit about girls and guys coaching, girls versus guys coaching, kind of how to navigate that. You've been around both. Give us a little backstory on you and kind of bring us up to speed on you as a tennis guru.
I'm not quite on the Bill Riddle guru level, y'all. Bill's been around a while. Those are his rackets hanging on the wall, actually, that he grew up playing with, I think.
Oh, you got me. You
But no,
got me.
I had the amazing opportunity to come over here when I was 18 from England and play college tennis for the UNC Asheville Bulldogs, and thought I could play pro. That career fizzled out pretty quickly playing futures, but the calling was definitely coaching. Was then, still is now. This is 14 years of college coaching at the Division Two and the Division One levels. Done some professional travel coaching around those stints and in between those stints, but yeah, really, coaching is my mission field to try and develop high performance players and impact lives. And currently, Clemson is the grounds to do that on. And we're just so blessed to have the people and the resources and the players that we do at Clemson to try and do those two things.
Yeah, yeah. And in your coaching background, you've spent time with guys as well as girls, and you've been on a panel before. We've talked about college tennis, and college tennis is an ever changing world right now. It's a little bit topsy turvy, but it is what it is, and we're just kind of making our way through it. But the biggest thing I want to kind of spend time on tonight is getting your thoughts, your opinions, and your experiences when it came to coaching girls and guys, how maybe they are a bit different, maybe how they're similar, and how you kind of over your career started to kind of navigate that. Because as we know, you know, guys and girls are a bit different in how we perceive things and how we kind of take it in, and then expectations on the court sometimes.
Yeah. Hopefully my connection's okay, by the way, Bill. On the hotel Wi-Fi. So if it goes out, let me know.
Is it the
But
Super 8 hotel?
we're a little bit above the Super 8
Okay.
these days, but the Super 8s have been utilized in the past, yes.
Yes.
Um, and that's maybe a difference between coaching guys and girls. The guys teams, maybe they can handle it, but I'm not going to put a women's team up in a motel with doors that open to the outside. You got to put them in a hotel with doors that have internal hallways.
Right.
But perhaps I have not necessarily a unique experience, but I played Division One men's tennis for one of the only Division One female coaches at the time in Lisa Gregory. So male player playing for a female head coach. She had to navigate both genders and both teams. for the first 7 or 8 years of my college coaching, I coached men and women at the same time. And for the last 7 years, I've coached only women. So I've really enjoyed coaching both. And there wasn't necessarily a time where I chose to coach one gender or the other. In our industry of college coaching at the time, it was what jobs are available to me that would hire me, that would be a good fit for me. And that's when I took the step into coaching women only at Kansas State University. And that's when really I had to think, okay, Tom, you're living in the women's world now. You need to make sure you are handling yourself appropriately, communicating well, structuring the practices correct, and doing some smaller things here and there to really make sure that I was an effective coach and leader for the women. But I do think, and you stop me at any point, Bill, there are some things that I think are the same, like I think both genders need clear, measurable goals using the SMART targets or whatever type of goal setting coaches and players work well with. Doesn't regardless of gender, you need a vision for your game, you need goals, you need to feel like you're going somewhere on that pathway. Um, in match coaching, or whether you can coach in the match, depending on your profession, or if you're preparing them for the match, they need clear tactical plans. They need to understand their primary patterns of play, and that's genderless, setting up game plans and creating tactical patterns in the match. Both genders need to be mentally tough. Both genders need to be able to handle momentum swings in tennis and in the matches. And I think that like probably the biggest picture thing here is nothing that we say tonight is going to apply to every single female or every single male. Ultimately it's going to become the person and the personality and that character, and you work with that personality as opposed to gender. Although I think as a male, especially coaching women, there are definitely some big picture things that we can get into that would be more specific to coaching women.
Right, right. One of the reasons why I wanted to go down this road with you, one because I knew your situation when you played college tennis, being 6'3" guy, being coached by this lady, and the kind of the dynamics in that, and you've spoken on that before when we were together, and I think you have a unique perspective. And another thing is, we spent some time together at one of the women's tennis coaching organization conferences a few years back in New York. And, I think when you are only coaching, and this can be said for, different situations. If I'm only coaching juniors, my mind goes one direction. If I'm only coaching 3-0 ladies at the country club, my mind and my thoughts go one direction. If I'm only in certain spaces, it's one way of looking at it. When you have I'll call it a luxury because I have the luxury now of coaching guys and girls, right? Um, and I'm learning things from both
Yeah.
and sharing things from both. How do you perceive that? Is it really a luxury to be able to do that? And kind of what are your takeaways from it?
Uh, it's a luxury to be a tennis coach, period, because it's not a real job for me. I tell people like, dude, I had a newspaper round when I was 13. That was the hardest job I ever had. Like coaching tennis is definitely a vocation for me. And yeah, I somewhat fell into coaching women specifically, but like, wow, it's an amazing opportunity. And I think what I'm taking from what you're saying, Bill, is that thought of you've got to bloom where you're planted. If I was in the country club world and I was doing 2-5 women and up, I would want to be the best 2-5 country club women's coach there is around. And it just so happens that I coach high level Division 1 females, and I want to be the best at that at this time in my life.
Right, right. I'm gonna hit you with a couple of things here, and I want you to kind of give me your take on it. And kind of how maybe it changes from girls to guys. And we'll go with the first one: team rules versus team standards. Is there a difference from the girls to the guys team?
That's a great question. Okay, when I was coaching both, no, there wasn't. That it was special. I was coaching both at the Division 2 level, similar to the NAIA where you are now. You probably don't have the luxury, and in running the programs any differently. Like, hey, if you play for this school, these are the values that we're going to hold in the program, and these are going to be the standards. I think the difference comes in where you might tell the guys run and they run, and you might tell the ladies run, but you have to tell them why. And so I think the difference comes into just making sure that you're building the trust through communication with them and why this is the standard or why this disciplinary action is happening or even why we're doing something with your game on the court, you know? And just
Right,
like giving them that reasoning and the context to help them, that helps them run or that helps them jump, you know?
right, right. All right. Second one, games versus drills for the guys versus the girls. Is there any difference you feel like when you're talking about games versus drills?
It's a great question. I like, and by the way, y'all, we did no prep for this. I got to come up with this on the spot, but I'm going to go with
Very,
what I got.
very few people will
Um,
like just kind of hit them with it, but I know you're good, so that's why I'm giving it to you.
yeah. Games versus drills. Okay, so if I think about maybe practice structure, the guys might want or be okay with launching into more point play straight away. Yes, I want to compete. I want to fight. I want to battle. I don't care if it's against my friends. I just want to do it. You could do a 2 hour team practice that's all point play, and they might really enjoy that. I feel like you have to build that on the women's side. The points are a little bit longer. It's a bit more about depth and consistency and a little elongated patterns. And so they might be a little bit more like, well, yes, I don't mind playing points, but I would like to do some stuff, whether it's hand fed or live ball, to feel the ball, to get more rhythm early. And so we would try to make sure that they're feeling the ball better, feeling consistent and feeling confident to go into the points. Um, but overall, I think fun gets lost sometimes at our level. And I'm not the master of games, but I like to put games in for any gender because I think you should have fun, whether it's Olympics or some touch or bluff, whatever different people call it, or even Foursquare, just different games to help both genders enjoy the intensity of practice sometimes.
Right, right. All right. Next one is fun, and you just mentioned fun. Fun versus focus.
That's good. That's good. I lost you for a second. Do you still have me?
Yeah, yeah, I got you back.
Okay, perfect. Did I miss a question in
Oh
there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, it was. And the next one is fun versus focus in the practice.
Mm. Why can't it be both? You know, why can't we be focused on having fun at some point?
Okay.
Um, you know, not all the time. Like I do believe if you came and a high level Division 1 practice was summer camp games the whole time, your team would probably get worse and not be as focused. But I think as a coach, you have to be able to take the temperature of your team, or even if you're running a clinic, you have to be able to take the temperature of that clinic or a high school team and figure out, wow, is this really heating up and they're loving it right now and they're getting better in the process? Or are we a little bit cold? Do I need to change the drill, add in a different stipulation, change the rhythm, bring the focus back, or widen the focus to have more fun?
Right. All right. Culture versus atmosphere.
Oh, that's kind of a fun one. That speaks to me.
Yeah.
Um, so on the men's side, they're probably more willing to call each other up. I used to say call each other out, but now I try to replace that with up. They're probably more willing to do that. Not in every case, but overall, probably more willing to have that difficult conversation than the women that's teams that I've worked with who might harbor it for a little bit longer, and that can make for a more tense atmosphere. And if it goes longer, it can eat away at the culture as well. So, um, for both to be successful, culture, atmosphere, it's similar. They're similar, but they're slightly different. Um, Communication is massive, massive on the women's side. And I'm thinking, like, hey, I don't do country club women's clinics every day, but I've done enough of them to know there's even an atmosphere at those clinics, and you want to make sure that we're addressing that. But for us, culture is what happens, just what occurs in the program, especially when the coach isn't there, because we can say, hey, we want you to be competitive, accountable, have great responses to adversity, bring great energy, bring great effort. But that's what we're telling the players. We have to create a system that allows the players to embody that culture when we're not there. And the atmosphere should be the general energy of the program that you can feel as a byproduct of the culture. If you came into Clemson, we'd want you to feel like there's an atmosphere that's welcoming and hospitable and friendly. Likewise, if you came into our team, we'd want you to feel like you're going to be welcomed by our 10 women on the team and that they're united, that they're sisters away from home. And that's a result of the culture that we hopefully build behind the scenes.
Right. And kind of along those lines, my men's team last year really kind of made a breakthrough in that they finally came together and they, as you said, called each other up and they held each other highly accountable for everything that was going on. They probably met as a group outside of me. I had nothing to do with this. They had their own little chat group and they would meet once a week and sometimes more and air their grievances and say everything. And our girls team really wanted to be as close as the guys were. And one day when I had a meeting with the girls, they said, we would like to be able to do that, but we cannot be that honest with each other. And I've done this for a long
Hmm.
time, and it just hit me that that was them saying it, right? They said we just can't be that brutally honest like the guys are. What's your take?
Right. Um, Again, we are speaking in generals here.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I agree. I agree. And honestly, last year we didn't have any drama on our team that we knew about, so that was a blessing. But most years, something comes up on the women's side. One, we hope they take care of it themselves and that they have that courage to deal with it internally. And if they can't deal with it themselves, can they go to some upper class women to handle it? If not, can they come to the coaches? But then if it gets to the coach's desk, we have to make an assessment. Is this worth our time to step in and try and mediate the grievances here, or is it not? And ultimately, what that comes down to is how do we think it's going to impact the team? Is this something the team can function with and it will eventually just fade off into the background and everything will be fine? Or is it a major blow up that could impact the success of the team? And if it is and it gets to our desk, we will make efforts to try to mediate that and get everybody back on the same page. But we'd hope that that doesn't happen very often.
right, right. We got two more. Match play, and I'm talking about match play in a challenge match standpoint versus the fitness components and you guys are a little bit different because you got someone handling your fitness, but talk about those two things from a match play to fitness components.
I mean, I would think like I was never a super athlete. I was lanky and I played serve and volley, so I could kind of cheat my way around the court. But I think in general, right, like women's fitness needs to be a little bit more balanced, like between the upper body and the lower body. There's like the points are a little longer. It's a little bit less explosive. The guys, need that have faster racket head speed. They might be stronger in the upper body. On the women's side, we're managing lower back, hips, glute, hamstring strength, and making sure the core is equally as strong as the upper body, and the lower body. For the fitness stuff, yeah, we are lucky to have some fitness coaches that do the lifting components. And then a long time ago, sometimes he's on these conferences, right? Like 10, 15 years ago, Lane Evans like certified me on the USPTA Elite Pro stuff. And he's like, you got to do the ITPA stuff. So I have my certifications with that. And we do some of the on-court fitness for the girls. And that varies based on what time in the year it is. When it comes to match play, uh, in general, slightly longer points on the women's side. More emphasis on therefore a 4+ pattern. On the men's side, you might see more points end in the first four. Something that we're big on is really attacking second serves. Like you can break serve pretty frequently on the women's side if you're focused on that attacking second serve return. Um, but it's longer, the ball is flatter, you have to adjust and really figure out ways to wear down your opponent over time. It's rare that I'm just going to be able to be like, all right, let's turn on the jets here and start hitting 130-mile-an-hour serves and blasting forehand winners on the third ball. We're going to have to try and create openings over time rather than win with pure brute strength or pace.
Right. All right, our last one, that hard style coach versus the softer
Mm.
coaching style.
Okay, I'm probably the neutral Nelly coach. Like if you win Wimbledon, I give you a hug. If you play the worst match of your life, everything's okay, but let's get back to work the next day. Like so I try not to ride the emotional roller coaster too much.
Right.
However, I've had players in the past that need me on the women's side to be really tough on them. Not rude, not swearing, but just be really intense, push them, stretch their limits, allow them to break through the brick wall, run through that wall, push
Right.
themselves further than they thought they could go. And they respond well to that. I'm not going to name names, but they've been like kind of the Eastern European mindset there. Or they've had a coach or a parent at home that's had that style, and that's what they're used to. On the flip side, right, I've had players that are like scared when a butterfly comes around them. And so that type of style is not going to work at all. It's in fact going to make them go further into their shell. And you really have to have the softer, encouraging thought in any way. Like, I am a big believer that in today's coaching, on the women's side, the positive reinforcement style 80, 90% of the time is probably the way to go. I think you're just going to get more development, better relationships over time, even though there could be an argument that says, hey, if you pound and you squeeze and you squeeze and you squeeze, you might be able to get them better a little faster. I think that has the potential to just blow up and ruin the relationship and hurt the team at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right. So you made it through the gauntlet there. Well done there, sir. So let's shift gears a little bit. At our school, we're combined practices sometimes, right? Your girls are going to practice with the girls team. The guys are going to
Yeah.
have different practice time. For us, I look at this sometimes as a really huge opportunity, and I've said this publicly, in that I want my guys and girls to practice with each other and against each other, because guys tend to try to bully the ball and pound away at points, and girls are smarter. So I need the guys to play against somebody who's a bit smarter about moving the ball around, being more thoughtful and using angles and things. But I need the girls to be able to play against the guy who's just kind of pounding balls, because eventually they're going to play maybe a girl that's going to pound the ball at them. What are your thoughts on the girls practicing with the guys and guys with the girls and vice versa? Is it helpful? Is it harmful? Does it matter? I mean, give us your thoughts on it.
I've done it all. Again, I'm not going to mention the school or the player, but in one of my early coaching jobs, our number one girl was so far number one that she was better than half the guys, and so she was practicing with the guys most of the time. Um, typically, typically on an everyday, there won't be much intermingling, but here are some times I think that it could be really useful. One, if both teams have great culture and there's some crossover in practice time, hey, they're practicing for 30 minutes while we're warming up, or vice versa. You can learn a lot from watching what other teams do, how other players act, and there's can be some learning by osmosis by observing the other genders practicing. Another thing that I have found is, for example, when I've had both genders practicing at the same time and I'd make like a huge up and down the river, the top guys usually stay on the top courts and the bottom ladies usually end up at the bottom. But in that middle, oh
Yeah.
baby, the guys don't want to lose to the girls and the girls want to challenge themselves against the lower guys on the team. And that can provide some like great upward competition for our women, but also allow our guys to handle nerves and pressure and things like that. And then the byproduct of that is, the girls are going to see different pace of balls, heavier balls, faster balls, and they will need to handle that. There are going to be some women on the college and the pro circuit that play like that. But um, and the other thing, yeah, hey, we spoke about this 10 minutes ago. When you have those days, it's fun. When I was the head coach at a Division 1 school in Texas, we actually had two banks of four. There was a women's four and a men's four, and we had separate practices, and it was fine. But at the end of every semester, we had an entire mixed doubles tournament, and we pulled names out of the hat, and they ate that up, and they would talk about that for the rest of that semester and the next one until the next time. And you can do drills like doubles Olympics or mixed doubles or Davis Cup or whatever, and it's fun to mix them and play together because at the end of the day in college, sometimes athletes can succumb to the grind where they're just feeling the burnout or the tiredness of the schedule. And those mixed gender practices can bring the energy and the fun and also get some quality work done in certain parts.
Yeah, what's interesting is that when you look at the club life where all these kids come from, right? They all grow up playing against variety of ages. Because if you're good and you're in that top group, it doesn't matter if you're 14 or 18 or you're a guy or a girl. The better players play with the better players, and they come out of that culture or that setting to college. And if they go your direction, then they're kind of split. If they're at
Mhm.
my level, then they're probably combined a lot of times. I find that the kids really kind of enjoy being together. The guys and the girls, it's kind of where they came from.
Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, I haven't thought about that necessarily specifically, but the girls that we have on our team, a lot of them have been the best players in their country, so they're playing with boys. They're
Yeah,
hitting with the guys most of the time, and so they are used to that. Actually, uh, I'll tell a quick story. I went to Spain, the classic ACC 2-day trip to Spain with no sleep to go see a player. And I went out 4 hours of practice. The first 3 hours, she was hitting with 13-year-old boys. And I was texting my boss, like, I'm learning not that much from this because she's loving it. She's loose, she's playing, but she had a lot of fun. The last hour, she hit with a girl 200 in the world. And I was like, okay, now I can see the level. And you know what? I liked it. And we signed her, and she did
right.
great, you know?
Well, there you go. Um, so you had a female coach in college, and you told a story one time, and I can't remember where we were, but something about you were trying to be a clay court grinder at your
Oh,
height,
yeah.
and your coach got on you and changed things, right? So
Yeah.
tell
I,
us that little story and how it kind of impacted you.
So I played for Lisa Gregory. She won't mind me using her name because she's absolutely amazing. She just retired last year. She was top 20 in the world, Hall of Famer at Miami as a player, coached at FSU. And Asheville, I think, was meant to be her retirement job, and she ended up doing it for like 20 years or something.
Right.
But so two stories, and this comes back to communication styles. And me as a male really wow, I just took it on board. And she knew that. She knew as a female she'd have to communicate differently. So we played at Asheville Racket Club, which is an amazing little setup in Asheville, if you, North Carolina, if you've ever been there. But when I first got there, my first semester, they were still finishing the hard courts. So we were practicing on green American clay, which was the first time I'd ever even stepped foot on the surface. And as a youngster, I was playing more big serve, big forehand, sort of messing around at the baseline a little bit rather than coming forward at all times. And I was playing a challenge match early, which she made us do. She was like, "Hey guys, competition straight away." And I won the match 6-4, but about 4-all or 4-3 in that first set, she came up to me and she said something along the lines of, if you keep this dilly-dally baseline stuff going on, you're just not going to make it here. Look at you. You're 6'5". You got a massive serve, good hands. Why are you at the baseline? If you keep doing this, it's over for you. Like, you're not really going to be very good. You need to come forward, serve and volley, chip and charge, come in off the third ball, come in off the fourth ball, and it needs to be all out pressure. You got it? And I said, yes, ma'am. And that's all it took for me to make the full commitment game style wise from aggressive baseline to serve and volley. Then I thought I had learned my lesson. I had a great fall one year. Won a bunch. I won every tournament I played except regional. So I won all the smaller ones you play. And I was like, man, I just saw a comment. Man, I just think I'm gonna play like two or three in the lineup this year. And we went to NC State and I was listed at five. And I said, Coach, like I thought I was gonna play higher. She said, Tomo, you will play where I put you, or you will not play. And I said, yes, ma'am. And then we just got along. But she was amazing. Those are her being strict, and it came across perfect for me. It changed my entire tennis. But at the same time, when she'd pick me up and drive me to practice, it was just, how's your mom? How's your sister? How's your family? What can I do to help you? What can I do to support you? But on the court, it was business, it was concise, it was clear, and we just ate it up. And we really like bonded as a team. She was coach of the year when we were there. Like it was awesome.
Well, along those lines, I look at the staff you guys have. You've got two guy coaches and one female coach for the women's team. We've got currently right now, I've got three guys to handle both of our men and women. And one of the things I've said to our school, and I say this quite often, like I need a female on our staff. I want to find a way to get that because I feel like it definitely gives us a different perspective. It gives us a different way of looking and thinking about things when we go out there. And I rely on not only our coaches but our players also to give feedback as well. Um, is it a big deal, or does it make a difference if you've got a female on staff for the women's team and or the men's team?
So big picture stuff, right? Like you and I were part of the WTCA for a while with Anne and Sarah, and like really we need more female coaches coaching tennis at all levels. There's a distinct lack of like good female coaches to make an impact in tennis. That's my opinion of the big picture. Do you have to have a female on the staff? No. Is it beneficial? I think it can only be beneficial. Like there's certain things like if we're a male coaching females, they know, but I think it's also good to preface them, hey, there's certain things in your life that you're going to go through or deal with that I'm going to have like no ability to like feel how you're feeling there. From fun stuff like, and Ashley is our other associate head coach. She won a natty at Vanderbilt. She's awesome. Um, hey, like I'm so glad that she can do the fun stuff for the girls, like order the clothing, because you don't want me and Boomer ordering the skirts, the tank tops, and everything else. I've done that and I've messed that up multiple times, you know. But also the more serious stuff, like hey, it's that time, coach, and like my emotions are going to be a bit of a roller coaster here, and you need to understand that and learn that. And there's going to be some things like personal things that they will feel more comfortable sharing with a female on the staff than a male on the staff. If it's an all male staff, which at the coach school I was coaching in Texas, myself and my assistant were both males, I think you just have to go in really open, really early and be like, look, our primary job is not to coach you tennis. Our primary job is to positively impact your life and support you for the time that we have you and beyond. And so if you come to us with anything, yes, we're men. We will do whatever it takes to understand you, to hear you, and to help you. But we're probably going to mess up at the same time. And maybe there'll be a bit less like it's quicker if you have a female coach, like, boom, been there, done that, understand it. And for us, I want it. I want to learn. I want to help you, but it might just take me a little bit longer, you know?
Well, I do agree with you there to just let them know, hey, I'm probably going to mess up a few times, even with an older daughter and two granddaughters. I feel like I still mess it up, even after all these years. But all right, so how do we then get more female coaches on board into the tennis industry, into college coaching? Is there something we could be doing a better job of? And I know that there's different, groups out there, and WTCA was going on for a while, but how can we get more females into coaching?
Oof, I'm quite specialist now in only coaching college tennis, so I only really want to speak to what I know here. But as college coaches, We have 10 females on the team that could all make amazing coaches one day if they chose tennis as their industry. We have to make sure that the experience that they get from us is top notch. And they, just like me, like I was inspired by my coaches, Lisa and Tom. And if that experience and that connection is there, that might just create a little spark to, oh, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about this or learn a bit more about that. And as they move towards potential further education or careers, we can open up those doors for them. So just from the college coaching perspective, it's the encouragement, it's providing a great experience, connecting them with opportunities that are open, with continuing education opportunities through the ITA, and and see what happens. And yeah, not everybody's going to be a coach, it's not for everybody, but if we can turn one or two players into great coaches, that'll be fun for us.
Right, right. So when I was with you there for a few days down in Clemson, you had a few of your girls that were playing intense down in Atlanta, and I got to watch you guys go through an intense practice to get them ready, which was completely different than what you would normally get them prepared for. When you change things like that, and then those girls were actually practicing for the purpose of playing the intense format. When you make changes like that, is it different when you throw them curveballs to the guys versus the girls, or is in your mind? I mean, how do you throw curveballs at some of your players?
Reasoning, logic, but also like involving them in the process as well. So if I for sure want to do something, no matter what, we're probably going to do it, but I'm going to provide as much why as possible. Here's what we're going to do, and here's as much reasoning or why as you need to get you on board to do it. If it's like I could go this way or I could go this way, it's just the classic, hey, I want to work on this. What do you think? Shall we do this? Shall we do this? And as soon as you get that input, I mean, the buy-in usually goes through the roof when it comes to that. So keep it pretty simple, really. Lots of reasoning, lots of, hey, here's why, but also plenty of opportunity for feedback and for the players to like dictate the direction of the next couple of drills or how they want to work on this thing. What's your favorite way to work on changing direction off a slice? Like, what drills do you like with that? And just see what they say. And I think you have to create space for that. Not every drill every time, but it needs to be regular so that they feel like, oh yeah, I'm bought in. For example, when they were playing intense, I was like, okay, we're gonna go 2.5 hours today. As we were having a chat before that practice, I would have phrased it something along the lines of, hey, I was thinking for the last 30 to 45 minutes today, we'd practice in bolts to get you ready for the intense league. Is that good with y'all? Oh yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking too. And it was as simple as that, and they had great fun playing it that weekend.
Right, right. I want to shift gears a little bit, and we're kind of getting a little bit towards the end here, but I want to spend some time talking about more technical and tactical components of what you're doing as a coach when you're talking about girls versus guys. Getting your players to move forward. Typically, I mean, I guess stereotypically, you're going to have girls are going to serve and then run 3 feet, 4 feet behind the baseline, and just play balls back there, which honest to goodness, most of the guys do that the same thing, right? But how do you convince them to move forward, play attacking styles, or get them off of the deep baseline and moving in?
It takes time. So that's going to take time to change the mentality on the women's side. I was lucky. Lisa was like, you got to do this. I did it. And it changed in one day, in one practice. But it takes time. We have the benefit of using film. So if you have film, you can just pull it up, even if people record it on their phone or whatever, and you can show them, hey, here are some opportunities that maybe hurt you or that you missed to not play transition tennis and come forward. Do you see that? Great. Here's how we can work on it. So film is an amazing way. If not, just simple repetition and kind of score tracking in practice. So we have one of our players at the moment, um, amazing, aggressive baseliner, but spent her freshman year afraid of playing transition tennis, and we can agree that it's the thing that can unlock the next level for her. So we do a simple drill. I do it with her every single week, and it's just 20 reps, and she tracks how many out of 20 she makes. one cross, one change, one swinging volley. It's a three ball drill, and we track how many swinging volleys she makes out of 20. And she's now up to 18 to 20 every single time. And then it's just reinforcing that after that. Hey, we've done this every week all summer, and you're making 90% of these. I hope that this body of work gives you confidence to begin to implement that in your matches, you know? And then I think when you see them doing it in practice or in matches, it comes back to the positive reinforcement. Yes, amazing. Even if they do it right, but they miss, just praising the effort. And I love to see you doing that. I know it's going to come off for you in the end. Now, if they kamikaze forward and it's just the worst approach, the worst volley, the worst attempt at a swing ever, you can pull them back in and say, okay, we need to work on X, Y, and Z. But those would be my thoughts as to how you can encourage transition. Because when we speak to most players in the recruiting process, okay, tell me about your tennis. I'm an aggressive baseliner. What that tells me is one of two things. One, I'm going to slap a lot of balls and miss, or I'm actually not an aggressive baseliner. I'm more of a counter puncher and I grind and then wait for a short ball where I can be aggressive, you know? I think only playing from the baseline aggressive is like quite hard, you know?
Right, right. All right. So, this has been my thought process for many, many years, just because watching kids grow up, but boys grow up throwing balls and rocks and whatnot. They'll throw everything. Girls tend to not do grow up throwing, playing baseball, those type of sports. How do you build a better or bigger serve with your female athletes versus the guys? Because typically what we find is, it's just not as big of a serve from the girls as it is from the guys. How do you combat that?
Wow. We hope and pray that they have amazing junior development coaches. So when they get to us, their technique is like pretty sound. That's the first thing I do.
Right.
And then if you flip that back to birth, I am expecting a baby girl in December, so I'll have much more experience developing the throwing motion. Then I have a stepson now, and he's a baseball guy, and he throws great. But to be honest, it's not my area of expertise to build up from nothing. But when they get to us, we try and make sure that like any tweaks are within sort of the solid technical foundations from the kinetic chain through toss release, toss position, toss height to technique with the racket, palm down, contact point, being able to execute all three spins. Like there'll usually be something that is a lower hanging fruit that we can attempt to do when they're 18 to 23 in college. But, we're not really building it from the ground up. And I'm curious, actually, if you do have junior development coaches on here to see, like, man, that serve is huge on the women's side. Like, if you can hold serve once, twice more a set or a match, you're winning so many more matches. But I'm curious to know from the junior development side, is it an afterthought? How soon are you switching them to continental? What's the right age? Is it an afterthought? Are you just serving out of the basket for 10 minutes at the end? Because if so, I think that's a missed opportunity. And if the goal is college, we don't look at their results until they're like at least 16 years old, So like that 8 to 15, like it should be amazing technical foundation development. And then the last 2 to 3 years of juniors, sure, we're going to look at those results. But, I want to encourage any parents, coaches, whatever, looking that from our perspective, hey, I know winning is fun in the 12s. Like that's awesome. One of my teammates was the 12 and under national champion, and that's great. But if college is the goal, are really not looking at that. We're like hoping and praying, like, please develop them well technically, because by the time it gets to 18, 19, 20 plus, we're tweaking, we're not rebuilding unless we decide, hey, this player maybe redshirts a year or something, and then we can do like an almost a full rebuild.
Right. All right, two more.
Yeah.
How do we use emotion in a positive way with the women? Because sometimes
Oh.
we get a little emotional, but we want to flip it and use it in a really positive way. How do you go about doing that?
So they're getting emotional, or we are, or we're using our emotions as coaches.
No, no, no. The girls might get a little more emotional, which actually I'm going to be honest. This is a full disclaimer. I've had more guys crying on the side of the court than girls in my career. So
Yeah. Like early on in my career, I would say to some female players that I work with, like, wow, you held it together really well out there. And they'd tell me, Coach, you have no idea about the internal inferno that is currently burning in my mind. I just like I'm a little bit more afraid of showing the emotions, whereas the guys would beat their chest and fall on the floor and just leave it all out there. They're
yeah,
extreme examples, but I think they hold true as a generalization. And I think it's about learning your player. Like I've had players that struggle with anxiety majorly, and you have to know that sometimes on a changeover in coaching, we are not talking about tennis. We're breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for two, and we're breathing out for 4 seconds. And I want to see their belly and their diaphragm doing the breathing, helping them recenter. Hey, Bill, what version of you needs to show up for the next 2 games until the next changeover? What version of yourself needs to show up so they can start thinking and visualizing, how do I need to be? What do I want to do? If you are that emotional type and you want to harness it positively and you're loud, wow, amazing. Don't be afraid to be yourself out there. Every team needs an energizer bunny, a thermostat to raise the roof, to grunt so loud on every ball, and the grunt lasts until your opponent hits the ball and they celebrate every ball. And wow, like you got to encourage that. And we want them to be their authentic self when they're on the court. Like if somebody is very introverted, hey, a quiet fist pump just with solid eye contact for them, that's a lot of emotion that they're showing. And we have to acknowledge that rather than being like, why aren't you screaming every single point? So we have to be flexible. We want you to be your authentic self, and we're going to try and bring that best version of you to the court. But when it's not there, we will first ask the player what version of you needs to show up for the next game. And if it's still not there, we will give them a slight push to, hey, here's the change that we need to see in order for you to start playing your best tennis.
right. Well, last one here, and I'll say this: most guys, as you know, get out of the van with swag. How do we get our girls to play with swag when they don't get out of the van that way? We have to kind of build it up.
Mm. Okay, so I'll give a shout out. I was actually speaking to David Secker earlier, who played for Armstrong, and he works for Simon, who was the Armstrong Atlantic coach and won, I don't know, more national titles than there's ever been. And when I was first coaching, I was coaching in that league. And wow, you pulled up to a facility and you knew that team would already have worked up a full lather and they were all unbelievably intense and they had an aura about them. And I
Right.
was like, wow, we need to find a way so that when we step foot out of the bus or out of the van, everything we do reflects confidence, reflects winning mentality. If you don't have it, if you just like are bereft of that and everything about you says quiet mouse,
Yep.
the easiest way to do it is to fake it till you make it or be it until you become it. You know what confidence looks like. So even if you don't think it, physically be it, it's easier to act your way into positive thinking than it is to think your way into positive thinking. I can't sit like this and be like, oh, I really want to be positive. I have to sit like this and say, I'm going to be a fierce competitor out there today. So that's like not easy to do because, like, you have to be brave, but you can act your way into positivity. Togetherness is a big thing on the women's side. Creating 10 or 8 or however many players you've got on your team. Hey, we're together, we're united. And as I look to my right and as I look to my left, there's somebody who cares for me, supports me, and is giving their best for the team. And we can walk into a match with that togetherness and unity, thinking we can do this as a one unit. We are stronger as one unit than we are as 10 individuals. When it comes to like game specific stuff, repetition is key. We spoke about the swinging volley drill earlier. Whatever you want them to be really confident at needs high repetition until you continually are successful at practice and just, hey, you've done this literally 1,000 times this season. I know you can do it in this moment, and hopefully that blends into confidence in the moment. There's many other things, but those would be three things that come to mind.
Well, I love it, man. All right, last thing. I'd be remiss if we didn't kind of jump into this, but where is college tennis going? If you can put your finger on it, I know there's been a lot of changes, and we've talked about this before. But where, just for those people who are watching, where's college tennis headed? Maybe for the girls, and if you know anything about where the guys are going.
Um, Big picture view. At the top of Division One, both men's and women's teams can, they don't have to, but they can fund up to 10 scholarships now. So that used to be 8 scholarships for women in Division One and 4.5 for the men. Men's tennis at the top level doubled its scholarships. Now, I will say, how many teams have done that? I would guess no more than 30 probably in the entire country. And there's over 1,000 college tennis programs in the country. So at the top level, I think college tennis is going to be producing more professional players than ever because the funding is increasing, the facilities, resources, and coaching is increasing. Um, I think there's on the flip side, there's a part of college tennis that is in danger. Programs that don't have a facility are struggling to recruit, don't have great community impact or connection. You're seeing a lot of those college teams get cut because of multiple different issues. So there is a nervousness around we're losing a lot of college tennis programs. I think I could be wrong, but I think those are the two ends of the spectrum. Yeah, we lost X amount, and then X amount are funding it out the wazoo and they're producing pros. The middle 900 plus teams is the bread and butter, and that's the salt. Where if you have a son or daughter who is passionate about tennis and wants to use it as a vehicle into college, it remains and will hopefully continue to be an unbelievable transformational experience where you get a degree, you become better at tennis, you get teammates who become brothers and sisters for life, you get coaches who are like mentors for life, and it's like something that when you graduate, you should really say, "Wow, I'd love to do that 4 years again." Like it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Tom, it's a lot of information. I'm sure you've probably had a long day. Man, I always appreciate time to chat with you, and you always have great information. So, any last parting words before we wrap it up?
No, Bill, thanks for having me on. David, great job setting up this conference again. I hope everybody got something from it and I wasn't rambling too much. Keep up the good work.
All righty, Tom Rees, everybody, Clemson University, go Tigers.